Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Home Depot out in Plano, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That is the fastest way to get in touch with me directly. I love messages from y'all, so let me know if you want to connect. And then today I actually woke up super early. It is about 8:30 in the morning out in North Dallas, where I'm based at, and I am determined to find the Doc Block Anthuriums by proven winners. It looks like a lot of these Doc Block Anthuriums have been making it out on the West Coast and also in the East Coast. So I'm really curious to see if the Dallas-Fort Worth area or even Texas itself will get the Doc Block Anthuriums. Typically, when it comes to big box store releases, Dallas, Texas tends to get these releases more so than most parts of the country. So I'm pretty confident that either today during my plant shopping video, I'll be able to find this Doc Block Anthurium, or it will appear within the next couple of days. That's really the confidence I have in our community out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we're going to see if that is really going to be a possibility. But for now, I am enjoying a beautiful Tuesday morning. I love going to big box stores and doing plant shopping because not only am I able to show you indoor tropical plants, but I'm also able to show you these outdoor tropical plants like these Hollywood hibiscus. And it's interesting that they have these sporadic bloom seasons. This one is a specific one that I like right over here. I mean, you saw the bloom, and I just like hibiscus flowers. Now they do have a version where they are called the hardy hibiscus that can grow out, as a perennial in the in climates like my grow zone, which is 8B. So as far as it's certain hibiscus, it's really interesting that when you have the tropical hibiscus, you'll have to grow them indoors over the winter depending on your grow zone. Again, my grow zone is 8B, but as you can see right over here, this is the second week of November. I can't believe that Thanksgiving is just around the corner. It will be next week, and things are just getting super busy, especially if you're going to big box stores and try to shop. Lots of foot traffic happening with people. And then as you can see right here, we do have a lot of these holiday plants that typically come around. So last month in October, we saw a bunch of Croton petras. This month, we are seeing a bunch of plants that are marketed as live Christmas trees. So there's many varieties of live Christmas trees. So we've got cypress, we've got different types of pine. And, as far as Home Depot or any big box store, it's not that difficult to find these plants. You can even see that rosemary also is an herb, but it's also utilized as a living Christmas tree. So found that very interesting. And as I walk over here, and can I tell you that it is just such a beautiful day to be out, plant shopping, especially early in the morning. I like to film plant content early in the morning or late at night, just because it's super relaxing. There's not a lot of people here. If you're going to ask me my favorite time of the day, it would definitely be early morning, probably around like 7:30 or 8, when the sun is just rising, and you can see that it has such a gentle light on the plants. So we talked about seasonal plants. Here is what you call a seasonal plant. Crotons, different types of crotons. A lot of it is due to the fact that they have very much so fall colors, the bright oranges, the reds, the dark browns, the tans, the pastel yellows, especially this one right here. This is a Croton petra, but as soon as November hits, they end up being 50% off. So in this series of all my plant shopping videos, I like to talk about ways to save money on plants, ways to budget your plant shopping habits. And one thing would be knowing the seasonality of plants. So if you are willing to wait right after October, at least in the United States, you will find that a lot of these Croton plants, and maybe they're not the cream of the crop Croton plants, will end up being 50% off. I am very tempted to purchase a Croton plant. The only thing is I don't really want to purchase one because I already have so many plants in my plant collection, but these are 50% off. So I love the fact that, certain plants will go on sale, certain plants are readily available, and certain plants like the Croton, now that I know that during the fall season, I'll be able to find these plants, I will be more so on the lookout, and then definitely make it a habit to potentially buy a pretty established Croton like that one. Like, I really love that fiery tone about that Croton around the second week of November at a big box store. So, a lot of these plants are very cyclical. You will find these plants come back year after year. They will be on sale. So like I've stated in all of my plant shopping videos, sometimes a plant will become a want or a need. A need is a plant that you need that day to purchase. A want is a plant that you can potentially save your money for, budget it out, or just maybe buy it at a later date. Those are just some of my plant insights. And then for those that are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I do daily 1-hour plant shopping videos. People will ask me why I call my YouTube channel Grow Folds. Originally, this channel was an ASMR origami paper crane channel. So literally I was folding origami paper cranes daily. For those that don't know me, I actually have a goal in my life to be able to fold 1 million paper cranes in my lifetime. I've been folding paper cranes daily for about 7 years, and you can only imagine how many paper cranes I have in my collection. I may end up showing you guys that. Please leave in the comments if you kind of want to get a snippet of how many cranes I've had folded in just a little while, but that is the reason why I call my YouTube channel Grow Folds. It is grow, obviously, because of the plants. Fold is because it's in reference to my origami ASMR. I realized that there wasn't a lot of viewership for the origami portion, so I converted it back into one of my biggest passions in life, and that is, growing plants, teaching people about plants, and just sharing my love for plants and growing this plant foldy community. So just a little tidbit about that. As you can see though, I am showing you guys a lot of succulents and cactus, as well as outdoor gardening plants. And don't worry, I am going to spend quite a bit of time in the indoor tropical section. So please make sure you are watching this video in its entirety, especially at the very end, because there might be a surprise. There might be that Anthurium Doc Block. You'll have to watch the very end. There are sections of a big box store like Home Depot where it may not necessarily be in the nursery. It may actually be next to the cash registers. I've seen that happen before, where there's a certain plant that I'm looking for, and then all of a sudden I find it right at the cash register. So definitely stay till the very end. I hope that you will be engaged just to continue to watch the video in general, because I like to talk about plants. Everybody who watches my plant foldies, you already know who you are. You are on the live premiere chats daily. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Kathy in Canada, Evelyn in Trinidad and Tobago, Gaz in Canada. A lot of my Canadian plant foldies, I didn't realize I had such a big following in Canada. I hope my Canadian plant foldies will end up getting more big box store plants. And just for anybody in the entire world, welcome to the channel. I did want to take a little bit more time today just to talk to you directly via my plant videos, because I know that you've seen a lot of these plants. I know that you probably clicked on this because you're interested to see if I find the Doc Block, but I do find it important to be able to talk to our viewers, to really engage with you, and just to make sure that there is that open communication. I love to make plant shopping video content. I walk around, film using just my phone. I don't have anything super fancy, but the type of reception, the type of support that I've received from y'all has really been amazing. And I can't tell you how thankful I am, especially during a time where the holidays are extremely stressful. In the last 2-3 weeks, I've been really busy. Work has had me working about 12, sometimes 15-hour days, and just to budget out another 3 to 4 hours to invest in a plant shopping video, it has been a little tedious, but at the same time, this is one of my highlights with my plant shopping videos. So thanks again, and if you've made it this far into the video and you haven't already, can I ask that you hit the like button? It really doesn't take that much effort just to hit the like button. You cannot, realize how important it is for the channel's engagement by just hitting the like button. It will push out the video to more plant foldies like yourself, anybody who loves plants. And, as far as the live premiere chats, the more people watching, the more potential we have for people watching and actually chatting in the community, the live premiere chats. For those that also have questions, feel free to leave comments in the comment section. I do read each and every one of them and respond to each one of them. You already know if you've left comments for me, it only takes me a couple hours to get back to you. So definitely leave some comments for me. Now, going back to all of the plants that I'm showing you. So obviously I'm taking a little bit more time on succulents and cactus. And the reason being is I didn't realize that there is a whole world revolving around succulents and cactus that we may not always be privy to. I don't think there's a lot of people talking about succulents and cactus, but at the same time, there are so many different hybrids and varieties of succulents and cactus. Particularly, I like Aeoniums as well as Echevieras because they have a really nice rosette type shape about succulents and cactus. I also find it very interesting that succulents and cactus will also be they're also easy to propagate. You can either use like leaf cuttings, stem cuttings. There's just many ways to propagate plants. And as far as what you will find at a big box store like Home Depot, you will find mixed containers of succulents and cactus. These specifically for Home Depot, their succulents and cactus are actually sourced out by Smart Plants, and they're fairly cost effective. If you're going to ask me which big box store has the most cost effective succulents and cactus, it would be Element Plants, and that would be under Walmart. But it could be different depending on what part of the country you live in. But overall, I would say Walmart probably has the most cost effective succulents and cactus. But on the flip side, I do find that Home Depot and Lowe's tends to have a bigger selection of succulents and cactus. So for those that are really into succulents and cactus, those euphorbias, those agave, just all sorts of those types of plants, I would flock to a Home Depot or Lowe's. And it's really interesting because I've talked to quite a bit of plant foldies. I love the fact that you guys will send me direct messages on Instagram about what plant you found, what plant I may have influenced you to purchase. And for those that have been getting that Aglaonema red Siam, thank you. Let's go ahead and just get everybody excited about that Aglaonema red Siam and just Aglaonemas in general. But as you can see right here, I'm picking up a lot of these different types of aloe vera. So I don't have the plant ID screening today on the channel because it is a little bit more of a tedious process. And I still want to make sure that I can get a video up for you on a daily basis. I did notice that there is a little bit more engagement. There's a little bit more fanfare when it comes to just being a little bit more consistent. I'm super proud that I've been able to produce at least one brand new video in the last 5 days. It may not seem like much for some people, but I'm telling you, to film for an hour at a big box store, to do another 1 hour voiceover, and then to upload and edit, it is a tedious process, but I don't know, it actually gives me routines. A lot of people will ask me why I do these daily plant shopping videos. Some of it is to actually de-stress myself. I think in addition to growing plants and having a plant collection, obviously growing plants, there is a specific routine. But for me, doing plant content, creating videos about houseplants, indoor plants, ways to save money on plants, and just to talk about plants, gives me some type of routine to look forward to aside from the daily stresses of, for instance, work. I mean, leave in the comments if you agree that plants is an escape for you. What do plants actually do for people? For my viewers, I'm really curious what that all looks like for everybody here. And, as far as just the plants I've shown you, you can see that those are many different varieties of aloe. I didn't even realize aloe vera had many different varieties. That's very ignorant of me to just assume that they have just that one green variety. Whenever you think about a plant, assume that that particular plant has probably 10 more varieties of that genus. And that's the reason why I think it's super important for us to really explore the world of plants, whether it's going to a big box store like Home Depot, frantically searching for that Doc Block Anthurium, Michelle. I mean, I really hope I can find it today. And, I'm really going to a lot of these Home Depots that I typically know are in stock and super full with plants. And I also did want to show you some of the seasonal plants. So in addition to me plant hunting, looking for that particular Anthurium Doc Block that everybody has been looking for, that seems to be trending on YouTube or all over social media, I did want to show you some of the holiday plants. So obviously now they have some more fresh cut Christmas trees. I think within the next week or two, there's going to be a lot of Christmas trees. People pick out their Christmas trees right after Thanksgiving, right on the weekend of Black Friday. Families will gather and choose their Christmas trees. It is interesting though that I've already heard a lot of people actually growing their actually setting up their Christmas trees. I don't typically set up a Christmas tree. I thought about doing like an Aglaonema Christmas tree tower since I have so many varieties. I would say I probably have about 40 varieties of Aglaonema. And what's interesting is today, later today, as I do this video, I am expecting a import from Indonesia from a seller that I actually bought in Aglaonema a year ago. If you go through my older videos, you will see that I did an unboxing and I saved some money to get some more hybrid varieties of Aglaonema. They're coming today, and expect an unboxing acclimation video to show you the process of how to acclimate an import plant. But that is something that I'm going to be really wanting to show you, and just to really diversify some of my plant content. I do realize that a lot of these videos are pretty much the same format. I'll walk around a big box store and talk to you about plants, but 2025, and as far as me really getting more comfortable showing my personal plant collection, you're going to see a lot more how to do routines, plant informatives. I may even do a live stream where I will just sit here and answer any questions you guys have, that sort of thing. There's a lot of plant YouTubers, but I would say my specific niche is really big box store plant shopping because it is more readily available for the general public. I try to be more accessible in that sense. And for those that keep asking me about a face reveal, that face reveal may happen just the same way I am going to show you my indoor house plant. It is coming eventually, but it's going to come when the time is right. Now we're actually in the indoor section of this Home Depot, and I love this Home Depot because this Home Depot really does have quite a bit of plants. And I am going to brag a little bit because based on what you guys have told me about your big box stores, it seems like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, specifically the North Dallas big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, and even Walmart tend to have some really full and healthy plants. You can see right here, this is a Tomathophyllum for $24.98. My family's originally from the Philippines, and Tomathophyllums are massive. They just grow outdoors as like a landscape plant. And it's interesting again how all of the plants we consider house plants are plants that we grow in our homes. On this side of the world is really a plant that is a native plant that grows outdoors in, say, a Southeast Asian country, or even in like South America, or even in Africa. These plants are sourced everywhere, and I just want to make sure that whenever you do buy a plant from like a big box store, like for instance a Sansevieria, do your research. I say this in all my videos, but do your research on plant care tips, but even more so, do a search about the plant and what it looks like in its natural environment. It is really going to tell you what type of growing conditions it's going to require, whether it's going to need a lot of light, whether the soil has to be a little bit more fast draining, whether you need more humidity, etc., etc. That is really going to give you a little bit more insight versus just going by what somebody says, aka myself, because plant care is really more so how close can you get a plant to its natural surroundings or environment. The closer you can get it, the more of the plant's going to thrive. I did pick up that Aglaonema Silver Bay. These are by Vigoro Plants for $14.98. That is in a 6-inch planter. Love Aglaonemas. I will talk your ear off about Aglaonemas any time of the day, because Aglaonemas, for some reason, and I don't know, you have to let me know. I mean, I've asked this question, but not a lot of people have really answered it. Why is it that people are not so into Aglaonemas? Why is it that people are looking for those variegated monsteras, variegated philodendrons, or some type of variegated aroids, but we're not getting excited about Aglaonemas, which, number one, are super easy to take care of because they are low light condition. Number two, they come in so many different varieties and colors. And number three, they are drought tolerant. And number four, they're pretty readily available at a big box store. Now, I will say the more exciting pink varieties or even more uncommon ones, you'll have to look overseas, because I guess the selection isn't really there unless Costa Farms releases more trending tropical Aglaonema. But let me get off of that, that soapbox about Aglaonemas and keep showing you these plants. As you can see, Home Depot does have a lot of Vigoro plants. You can see that we do have like the Hoya carnosa right over here. Hoyas are super easy to care for plants. And you know, I wasn't really a fan of Hoyas until I realized that they are super forgiving as far as plants are concerned. Like, I could literally not water a Hoya for an entire month, and I would not recommend doing that. But if for some reason you end up being in a situation where you don't water your Hoya for that long, it's still forgiving. Same thing with a Sansevieria trifasciata right over here. Now, this is only for $7.98. The thing about buying a snake plant or a Sansevieria trifasciata, you can look at something like this. So instead of just buying a plant, there's only one plant. This one is actually going to give you two plants. There's two plants that you can potentially separate into two plants, and you're getting it only for $7.98. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to want to buy more plants or be more cost effective in the amount of plants you get, sometimes look at closely about the amount of plants that are in a specific pot of plants. The more plants you have, the more potential of you being able to separate them, and you're saving more money in the long run. And then over here, I did want to show you some more of these plant products. So, you know, plant products are important because, you know, these are the things that will help you basically care for the plant, give the right nutrients, the right pest control, and Osmocote is one of the best slow release fertilizers I would recommend. And then you can see right over here, Alocasia california. I love the look of the Alocasia california. Now, the variegated form, which I think is the Alocasia odora variegated form, is beautiful, but even the green variety, the ruffles on the actual edges of the leaves are really pretty. And you know, this is probably one of the most common calatheas. This is the Calathea rospicta. This was one that I specifically bought at this Home Depot for when it was on sale for $18.88. You can see that there's not many varieties of them left anymore, and the one that's left over here is already crisping up. You know, I sound terrible. I do sound bad because I feel like when I listen to myself talk about calatheas, I feel like I'm really trying to discourage people about, you know, growing calatheas, but it's not the case. It's really because I want to make sure that if you are going to grow a calathea, you are prepared to really give it more of the care tips that it requires. You know, calatheas are a little bit more finicky of a plant. Some people say they're not. It's just really the person. Maybe it's me, and maybe I just can't grow calatheas. I do ask the plant foldies that are watching today if you've been able to grow calathea long term, and if you have, kudos to you, a big applause, but also let me know in the comments what your care tips are. Maybe there's something I can tweak in my environment if I were to bring a calathea back in my collection. I only currently have one, and it is not doing as well. It's starting to crisp up again, even though I water it pretty frequently and give it humidity. So I don't know if my environment's just conducive to that. Now, something like this is a Vigoro hanging basket for $19.98. This is another Hoya carnosa. This one's the Crimson Princess. Beautiful plant. Again, super easy plant. Now, with Hoyas, if you're able to provide them with quite a bit of bright indirect light, you can get them to sun stress. They will do very well. And if you can get a Hoya to bloom, that's basically the pinnacle of success. At least I would actually consider it success if you're able to get a Hoya to bloom. I think they're stunning. I think that they There's a whole world of Hoyas that I don't know about, and I'm hoping to learn more from people that grow Hoyas. You know, I went to the Texas Aeroid show out in Houston, Texas, and I was able to listen to a speaker from Nest Tropicals. I'm super excited that I was able to really witness that and just really learn more about the care tips of Hoyas, because I didn't even realize that the care tips for Hoyas is fairly simple when you think about it. Like, you can let the Hoya soil dry out completely before you water it. Overwatering a Hoya is not good at all. They would rather be on the drier side, or at least that's what I've been told. That's what I've been seeing, and that's what my experience has had in terms of just growing Hoyas long term. And then they also like bright light. Now, if you do provide Hoyas with a little bit less light, you're not going to get the best coloration, but you may end up getting larger leaves. And the reason being is apparently the leaves get a little bit larger because it's trying to get more surface space to be able to photosynthesize. So that was a very interesting tidbit about Hoyas. Typically, when you don't provide a plant enough bright and direct light, that is when you start having issues with the plant having smaller growth. But Hoyas, that's a little bit interesting of a revelation for me. Now, I did want to show you these Dracaena. So I'm actually thinking about getting a Dracaena. So if you've watched my videos a little while back, I ended up buying a really big Dieffenbachia for like $39. It's absolutely stunning, but it's not doing as well. And to be honest, I already knew a Dieffenbachia wasn't going to do as well in my care, because for some reason they just get very leggy. I just can't seem to get them happy, and maybe it's because I cannot provide them enough light, or they just don't have enough humidity, or it's a combination of both. So I'm thinking about getting a more low maintenance plant like a Dracaena. That way I can still get the size, but not necessarily have to deal with the other extra care that it requires. So we'll see what that looks like. But as far as the plants here, I am still looking for that Doc Block Anthurium. And the reason why I have confidence to search these particular Home Depots is because these Home Depots, as you can see, have really full plants. Based on what people have told me in the direct messages through Instagram or even in the comments section, I would say that, you know, as far as a big box store, these Home Depots out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are pretty well maintained and well stocked. So my thing is, and here's what I'm thinking, if say the Doc Block Anthurium is not available today, as more people, you know, post on either, you know, social medias like Facebook or Instagram, or somebody in the Dallas-Fort Worth area may send a direct message to me, Marlon, you know who you are. You always, you know, tip me on some of the new plants that you find out in Garland, for instance. I will be able to rush out and check out the plants. But as far as the Doc Block Anthurium, I think the reason why there is a big push for that is I didn't realize that there are a lot of people who actually grow anthuriums. I wasn't really into anthuriums until I figured out the appropriate substrate that works for me. And I say that because a lot of people may prefer soil. Some people have tried straight hydroponics where you're just growing a plant in water. And for me, I have found a happy medium where I'm growing a lot of my plants now in semi-hydroponics. I utilize the semi-hydroponic substrate called Lechuza Pon or Leca, and it has done very well for me. And here's the reason why. I tend to struggle on watering my plants. I know it sounds very basic, and somebody told me, I even told myself, if you can't provide the basic needs for a plant, then you don't need the plant. Well, not everybody listens to that, and I'm pretty sure you're one of those people that may just keep collecting plants and collecting and hoarding plants, but you may not necessarily have the time, space, money, budget, whatever it is. But for the love of plants, we always want to get them. But Lechuza Pon or semi-hydro has really made it easy, because then I don't have to water my plants nearly as often. And with anthuriums, the watering can be a little bit, kind of tricky to maintain, and it's just made it easy with the semi-hydroponic substrate. Now, as far as these pothos right here, this neon pothos, $19.98 by Vigoro. You don't have to really put pothos in hydro. You can actually just grow them in straight water if you want it, but you don't necessarily have to put them in Lechuza Pon or Leca. Super easy plants to grow, like this Marble Queen pothos. Yes, we're searching for the Anthurium Doc Block today, right? We're walking around, we're canvassing this big box store, but at the same time, I'm trying to show you plants that are also going to be easy care plants that I believe you should add into your plant collection, or at least consider it. I will always tell you pothos, pothos, pothos. Please add yourself a pothos. Also get yourself an aglaonema. Those plants are very easy to take care of. Those plants will bring you joy. You're not really going to have a headache trying to keep them alive. And I think a lot of the stresses that we get from plants is the maintenance of the plants, the disappointment we get when a plant makes it into plant heaven, the stress we get when a plant is struggling, when you see browning leaves, when you see things are just looking rotten, things of that nature. So to combat that or to mitigate that, look at these easy to care for plants, and I've kind of tried to pivot my plant content to really talking about plants that are beginner friendly. Like even this Hoya right here, this Hoya carnosa, Crimson Princess, $19.98 in a hanging basket, super easy. Just water it when it is completely dry. Make sure you provide it with bright indirect light right next to a window. If you can give them south facing window, they will love it. But even a pothos plant like this is an Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. They are very versatile in the lighting conditions that they can live in. If you give them lower light conditions, they're going to be a little bit slower in the growth. If it's a golden pothos, it's going to be more of a greenish tone. So it really just depends on the lighting conditions for the plant. Same thing with the Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil. This one is for $19.98. And the thing about Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil, the allure for me is how sporadic the variegation can be. Now, if you provide it with more light, and that's the reason why some plants variegation or coloration is really influenced by light. Some plants variegation is really just based on its initial genetics. And sometimes like a Philodendron Paraíso Verde, it is based on the temperature of the or the climate of the plant, which gives it more variegation. But for the Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil, give it more light, you're going to get more of that yellow creamish tone about it. And then you can't go to a big box store and not look at succulents and cactus again. And it is the holiday season, and people ask me, what plants should we give to somebody that may not necessarily be into plants? You can give them like little succulent arrangements, but the thing about it is, if you're going to give a plant to somebody, you might want to write in the card like basic care tips, or better yet, find a plant that's even more simple than a succulent, because people always say they end up killing a succulent, but I think the number one factor on what kills a succulent is the fact that people are overwaterers. Somebody that waters that plant often. I'm an underwaterer, so somebody that doesn't really water their plants as often as they should. And that's due to just me not having the time. And then also just, sometimes out of pure laziness. I won't even lie. Sometimes I'm so tired that I don't even get the time to just go out and water plants. I will say taking a bunch of plants into my bathroom and under my shower, using my handheld shower and watering them that way has made it a lot easier versus going around with a watering can through all my plants. People have asked me how many plants I have. I will say I probably have over 100 plants plus. That's all I'm going to reveal as far as that. But, I found ways to kind of go through it. Somebody told me, how do you maintain plants? I say get through each one by section. If there's some plants that need to get water, just, find a couple of plants that you need to water. Prioritize the ones that are a little bit more thirsty. So, plants that are a little bit more thirsty would be like your peace lilies, your spathiphyllums. Those are the types of plants that would need a little bit more attention. And then, if you can't water plants as often, find yourself more drought tolerant plants. And what I mean by drought tolerant plants, do your research. You can get a Sansevieria or a snake plant. You can get certain philodendron. You'd be surprised how some philodendron are very forgiving, because there's some philodendron that I have in my collection that I don't water for 3 weeks and they're okay. I also wanted to take some more time to continue to kind of show you the plant products I use. So I love using the Alaska fish plant food. I use it in pretty much all of my watering, but I do it at a very small dose. So if it's going to ask for like a tablespoon per gallon, for instance, I just do like 2 or 3 drops into my gallon of water, and I just water my plants. The reason why you want to use fish fertilizer is number one, natural, and number two, it really increases those microsomes, those beneficial bacteria in the substrate, which helps strengthen the roots. Now, as far as like fertilizer, I know some people hate Miracle-Gro. I know that some people have their feelings about Miracle-Gro soils. But as far as the Miracle-Gro fertilizers, those liquid fertilizers, like this indoor plant food, if you're growing plants in like Lechuza pond, you can just put like 1 drop in the water and use that as plant food, and your plant will still do fine. You know, sometimes it gets a little tricky about mixing a certain type of nutrient solution for your semi-hydroponic containers, but I even just use just 1 drop of liquid fertilizer by Miracle-Gro because it is such a mild fertilizer. I always say less is more in a lot of things, especially when it comes to fertilizing plants, and just be mindful of that. I do think that certain plants can take more nutrients than others. Like pothos plants are very heavy eaters in terms of just needing that nutrient. You're going to be able to get that. And then you also have to think about certain plants. If you give plants that are variegated a little bit more nitrogen or nutrients, sometimes the variegation is impacted to where they kind of revert back to green. So you'll have to do a little bit of research on that. You know, those are little plant insights that I wanted to share with everybody today, especially this morning when I'm just up and about, really excited to see what we can find. Showing you some of these planters right here. I mean, you can see I'm, you know, kind of pointing out the kind of planters I like. I like very simplistic planters, very smooth surfaces, very matte surfaces. I like neutral colors. I like pinks. I like greens. I like grays, white pots, those types of pots. And I also like to use pots that are pretty much the same, so I have more of a uniform look about it. There are things that I also need to do in terms of like my home where I just have to just get it organized. There's just a lot of plants that I have, and you know, somebody told me the reason why it gets overwhelming is sometimes you're hoarding a lot of plants. I'm not gonna lie, at this very moment I am a plant hoarder. I have so many plants that I can't, you know, display in a tasteful way. And you know, I don't mind being that transparent. I think if you're able to grow a healthy amount of plants in a setting where it is more tasteful and not so like crowded or cluttered, I think you just get more out of your plant collection in general, or at least that's my opinion. And that's the reason why I'm hoping after the holidays I can really find some time to where maybe I'm not doing plant shopping videos, and I'm just really focusing on just getting my plant collection under control. So leave in the comments if you are in the same boat as me, if you actually, you know, grow plants and you just have way too many for you to take care of. How are you handling the plants that you have already? Do you find yourself getting burnt out? I know I found myself getting burnt out just a little bit, but then that certain plant brings me right back into the game. So these are a lot of the plants that you will see at Home Depot. I'm still not seeing that Anthurium Doc Block Michelle by Proven Winners. Maybe we'll find it here. A little birdie said that it's potentially in the Dallas market now. So if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel with all the notification bell on, especially if you are wanting to find locations for these Home Depots, because as soon as I find it, if it's there, you'll definitely be the first one to know via my channel. And I almost dropped that Norfolk Pine picking it up. And speaking of Norfolk Pine, $12.98. These are by Costa Farms. These are another type of plant. It's kind of like synonymous. So poinsettias, Croton plants, Norfolk Pine. Those are the top 3 seasonal plants that you will see. And maybe a 4th plant would be chrysanthemums in the fall, but these are seasonal plants that you will see at a specific season. The interesting thing is Norfolk Pine is actually not a plant that really tolerates cold conditions. So when you connected to Christmas and you think about snow, you can think about colder weathers. Its natural habitat is definitely opposite from that. Same thing with poinsettias, because poinsettias are actually native to Mexico. And I always wonder, how did these plants become holiday plants? Like for the longest time, I've always remembered poinsettias as being a Christmas plant. How did it become a Christmas plant? If anybody can just give me the history or a brief history about poinsettias, please let me know, because I would really love to know. I'm really curious, and I really have no idea why poinsettias became such a Christmas plant. Maybe it's just the red color, but even then, And then, amaryllis, beautiful plant as well. It's one of those plants that's very intriguing to me because you can literally set the bulb somewhere and it will just grow by itself and you don't really have to water it. At least the ones that are gifted by me that are like covered in a wax layer. That's something that's worked out for me. And then you can see right over here, I'm gonna walk over here and see if we can find those Anthurium Doc blocks. But as you can see here, it looks like somebody changed their mind on 3 of these pothos hanging baskets. You can see over here, we do have the Marble Queen pothos, beautiful plant as well. And Marble Queen pothos, I say this in all my videos, more light, better variegation. You'll get more white cream variegation out of it as compared to not giving it enough light. It'll actually revert back more so to the green color. So that's just one of my tips when it comes to plants. And then you can see right over here, Marble Queen pothos again. Really like the look of that plant, and it's another beautiful plant that I like, and it's an easy to care for plant. I am also back into my era where I'm just propagating plants left and right. I find them fun. I find them, making more plants or actually propagating plants. Something that I want to do as far as like sharing is caring, just being able to give my plant propagation to some of my friends out there that love plants. But as far as what I'm seeing so far, I don't see the Anthurium Doc Block Michelle. I heard that it is retailing for $95, and so for me it is still a bit pricey for an Anthurium. I do have a couple of Anthuriums that I got from some plant shows, but in terms of just the cost of them, I understand why, because Anthuriums, especially those really nice hybridized ones, can be a little costly. I always tell people, if you want to start with an Anthurium collection, I would say start with very small sizes and grow them up. I think you'll get more out of it just being able to see an Anthurium grow. And to me, buying a really big Anthurium is a little bit risky, because what if it doesn't survive in your current home conditions? Then you're out of a lot of money. And that's the sad reality of a lot of these plants. Like we get excited, we want to buy plants, we want to add these certain rare plants to our collection, but then what happens if the plant doesn't make it? If the plant decides that it needs to go to plant heaven, then you're out of a lot of money. And I am really curious, for those that are watching this video, how much money do you spend on plants a month? Please leave that in the comments. I'm just curious to learn more about the plant folding community. I'm curious to see where you guys are from. So if you want to tell me about your plant collection, where you're from, leave that in the comments, because I just want to get to know y'all. I mean, we pretty much congregate on the live premiere chats nightly, and I love it. Sometimes I'm not able to chat as often, as much on the chat, because I'm either one at work, or either number two, I'm in the middle of filming the next day video. But it has been such a fun journey. I'm still not seeing the Anthurium Doc Block by proven winners, but I am seeing a lot of these value plants, like these really large Spathiphyllum for $29.98. I like that a lot, and even though it doesn't have the white blooms, just that deep green foliage is stunning. And then we're gonna just keep walking over here. I'm just gonna keep showing you some more of these plants. You can see that we have these Anthuriums, but notice how they put this big like Christmas ribbon, and all of a sudden, voila, it becomes a Christmas type plant. And it's really interesting that even sometimes the presentation of the plant changes the mood on whether it's like a gift worthy plant or not. Let me know in the comments if you like the blooming Anthuriums. I'm still looking for that Doc Block Anthurium by proven winners, but hey, we did find some Anthuriums today so far, but not the Doc Block Anthuriums.
All of the time we spent together, in our prime we were birds of a feather, different kind. We were laughing through the pain, you were never once sober. Cut the cord that kept us connected, blacking out the mirror where your light once reflected. All of the love from up above, we used to feel like a glove.
And you can see right over here, plant foldies, we've got even some more gorgeous alocasia. Some people say this is the alocasia regal shields, but I don't think it is. It has more of a metallic deep shine about it. I thought the regal shields has more like very stark veinations on it. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you know the specific plant ID for this alocasia. I do not believe it is a regal shield, but what I do know is it is beautiful. But unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to grow an alocasia this size indoors because I do feel like it would end up just getting spider mites. It's one of those plants, you know, alocasias, there's just certain plants that are very much spider mite prone. That is one of them. And unfortunately, it is just the reality of certain plants. Some plants are a little bit more susceptible than others. And then, you know, as far as those particular plants, you just have to really be mindful about what plants are susceptible to pests and how do you repel these pests. For me, it is all about just inspecting the plants, but more so spraying your plants with a insecticidal soap, or what I use neem oil spray. So I have what I call the plant foldy mist, which is basically a neem oil spray that I create. So I take a conventional spray bottle, I take 2 tablespoons of cold pressed organic neem oil that I bought from Amazon, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 70% strength. Put it in the conventional spray bottle that you can get anywhere, and then you also fill it up with water, put a drop of dish soap, shake, and you spray your plants. You spray the tops of the leaves, the undersides of the leaves, the stems, the top of the soil, the bottom of the drainage holes, and voila, you're able to kind of get rid of a lot of those pests, you know, plant pests right then and there. And then that layer of neem oil will protect the plant temporarily. What I do with a lot of my plants is whenever I water them under the shower, I spray them with neem oil. It will not hurt the plant the frequency that you spray, or at least it hasn't for me. What it has done though is I haven't had a lot of fungus gnats. I haven't had any type of mealy bugs, you know, knock on wood, because for the longest time I've struggled with mealy bugs. The only type of plant pest that really has infiltrated my home would be thrifts, and they are the worst. When you start seeing yellowing leaves, that's when you know that they are just attacking your plants. And for me, I tend to kind of give up when I start seeing a full-blown infestation rather than to fight the battle. And that's how I've lost some of my plant collection in past years' time. But to go back to the plants again, plant foldies, you can see right over here, we've got a lot of these large foliage plants. So when it comes to a big box store like Home Depot, you'll find like a ficus elastica burgundy, or a ficus laurata, or fiddle fig leaf right over here for a really good price. And I'm really thinking about getting a Dracaena, a large Dracaena. Like I could add another Aglaonema. I know that I bought an Aglaonema White Rain, or what you call an Aglaonema Golden Bay, but I was thinking of maybe getting a different type of foliage texture. I mean, leave in the comments if you agree that, you know, sometimes you want to just mix up your foliage. I also think that whenever you get different size plants, it really just makes a plant collection even more interesting. I would love to add more hanging baskets to my plant collection, but again, hanging baskets, they tend to be a little bit more work than I'm willing to place, because you have to water them, and then you have to also drill holes in your ceiling, and that's not necessarily something I want to do, even though I do own my home. You know, really excited that I am a homeowner, so I have all the space to be able to grow the plants, but I don't know if I really want to just permanently do it. Like, I'll have to ask my friend Janae Simone. And by the way, plant foldies, if you haven't already, please follow us on Instagram, The Cultivation Corner. We are doing a plant show / plant podcast debuting the first week of December. It will be with me, Janae Simone, and Steven at I Lift Plants, who also is a certified plant foldy. Please also subscribe to their channels, because we'll be posting those podcasts on our respective channels. The debut video is going to go on my channel, and I'm really honored that it's going on my channel. But overall, it's going to eventually go to our separate YouTube channel, which is The Cultivation Corner. I hope you will join us, because there's going to be a lot of topics that we talk about. And, you know, I just feel like a plant podcast would be fun, especially if you guys are doing your plant chores, because from what y'all have told me, you'll just turn on my video and, you know, listen to me talk. while you do your plant chores. And I appreciate that. I really do. And I think that's exciting. I think that, it really does make me feel valued as somebody that is trying to make some pretty good content for y'all on a daily basis. So thanks again for that. Definitely follow us on the Cultivation Corner podcast. And you can just see right here, I'm just walking around picking up plants. This one is a ZZ plant for $19.98. If you're looking for another easy plant, ZZ plant is another easy plant. Some people will say it's not really a interesting plant. I find it interesting. Sometimes a plant that has that deep green color can just be as interesting as, say, a variegated plant. A lot of us naturally are more inclined to the variegation of a plant because there is a little bit more leaf interest, but then there is also beauty in the simplicity of just greenery. Greenery in general, I think that also gives you a little bit more, how do you put it? Tranquility, peace, and calm. I was able to go see Jade Simone's plant room in just the way she styled her plants. And when you talk about intentional plant decor, plant styling, I think that elevates the plants. I think that inspires people to grow plants versus just hoarding them around. Just having 1,000,001 plants just kind of shoved in the corner, and then all of a sudden you're struggling to grow those. That is the story of my life right now. And, for me, I probably should just keep buying aglionemas like this. Like this is an aglionema red Siam. That would be a plant that everybody needs to add. And, this is interesting because this is a philodendron pink princess for $29.98. Although I find Philodendron Pink Princess beautiful, you have to be super selective because if you don't find a Philodendron Pink Princess with that higher variegation, you're never going to be able to really push that pink variegation. Like this one is a low variegated one. I think that Philodendron Pink Princess Galaxy Marble, that is the strain of Philodendron Pink Princess you want to get because it has that high variegation. Now, $10.98, Calathea by Bigger Plants again. I think this is Nature's Way, one of the two. It's a beautiful plant, and like I said again with a lot of these calatheas, they're so gorgeous in the big box store. Give yourself 2 to 3 weeks and then you'll start seeing the signs of aging, or more so the signs of just crispiness, browning, and it's just not a fun time to see a calathea. It really does pain me to actually try to grow calathea because I wish I could, but alas, it's the same thing when I try to grow English ivy, or which I say Hydra helix. The Hedera helix, that's another plant that I cannot grow indoors as a house plant. Maybe some plants are really not meant to grow indoors. As far as like plants that can grow indoors, like the Philodendron Pink Princess. Now this one's a better looking Philodendron Pink Princess. I do like that it has a really nice pink variegation on it. This is just going to need to be washed and the leaves need to be shined and cleaned up. It looks like it might have just gotten some hard water and dust, and that's the reason why it does look a little bit more gray. That's the thing about using neem oil spray. When you spray your plants, you're going to get a better shine to it. So it's protecting the plant from plant pests. It's also making your plant a little bit more stylistic. I think if you have leaf shine on plants, that just makes everything look even better, at least in my opinion. Now, as far as this plant right here, $19.98, this is a Philodendron Moonlight. Love Philodendron Moonlight because, you guessed it, it has neon colored leaves or more of a yellowish toned about it. Love those types of plants. Those bright plants will light up a space anywhere in your home. The only thing about it is, and you have to be mindful, is lighting is also going to impact how much neon color it's going to have. If you give it lower light conditions, it's going to be a little bit more green because it's going to need to try to get more chlorophyll to photosynthesize and keep itself alive. So those neon plants, as a general rule of thumb, more light will make them even brighter. As far as all of the plants here, I'm really not seeing that Anthurium Doc Block Anthurium by proven winners. But you know what? As far as a consolation for me, I may end up just getting a plant like a Dracaena or maybe this Aglionema Silver Bay. Like I really want a large Aglionema Silver Bay. And what's cool about this Aglionema Silver Bay is it can be put in a lower light condition. And that's the good thing because I feel like a lot of our homes are not really conducive to really bright light, unless you just have a whole, high ceilings with big windows that are east facing and south facing. For the most part, a lot of us may have to utilize grow lights to supplement the plant growth. And I use grow lights. I use Sansi grow lights. I would love to try to use Soltech grow lights. So Soltech, if you want me to review your product, definitely let me know, because I will definitely feature that on my videos. I did hear that Soltech has some amazing pendant lights that I would think is also stylish, that could, light up a darker space in the home. But as far as these Aglaonema, again, like this one is another one on my wish list. This one is a wand that is an Aglaonema Nicole for $29.98, but look at how pretty it is, and it's already got several plants. Here's the thing about Aglaonema: they will shoot out more pups, and you'll be able to separate the Aglaonema from the mother plant and get more plants out of it. So we're gonna look at some of these. So it looks like we've seen some proven winter plants. So maybe we'll find an Anthurium Doc Block right here, a Doc Block Anthurium. This one though is an Alocasia cuculata. That one is for $29.98, and I do see some webbing on it, so it looks like that might have some spider mites. That's the thing about going to a big box store. You've got to be really cautious about the plant, as far as how you should select the plant or a house plant whenever you go to a plant shopping. I would say look for new growth if possible, because then you know that the plant is healthy. Look for any webbing or any kind of like fuzziness on the leaves. That's potentially mealybugs or spider mites. Look to see if the soil is completely soaked in water. That also impacts whether the plant could be healthy or not. Look if there's some roots that are coming out of the drainage holes. If you do, that's a good sign. That means that the plant is actually established. And then just look for plants that may have pests near it. If it does, then the chances of your plant actually having pests is a little bit higher, which I would say I wouldn't buy the plant, because the risk of taking a plant pest into your home is highly likely. And to me, it's not really worth it, infesting your home. Pests can really infiltrate a plant collection. That's how a lot of people lose their plants. And so, careful inspection, especially when you go big box or plant shopping, is one thing I would also recommend. That's something that I always get asked about, is how do you select plants? And then I also look for multiple plants in a plant pot. That means you'll actually save more money. Now, I did want to pause and show you this beautiful Philodendron gloriosum. Love the look of a Philodendron gloriosum. The only thing about Philodendron gloriosum for me is it is a crawling philodendron, so it doesn't actually come up a pole. It wants to crawl across the surface of the soil, and it's one of those things where you would need to have a pot to that was more like horizontal versus vertical in order for it to really thrive, because then it kind of just stops growing and it grows like smaller leaves. But overall, beautiful velvety texture. I actually got one that is mutating. I feel like it's got some variegation popping out. I know that there was like 3 or 4 leaves in a row that just has this speckling variegation. So if that's the case, I may end up letting it grow and then cutting it and propagating to see if that variegation is going to be stable and maintains its variegation. And then over here, Proven Winners does have a Philodendron squamiferum. I already have a Philodendron squamiferum, and I really love the petioles because it is like really fuzzy, and that's what makes this particular philodendron unique. The variegated version is super expensive though, the Philodendron squamiferum variegated form, but just a green variety is really nice. I mean, even the squamiferum philodendron maybe 3 to 4 years ago was still a little bit pricey, but with, Proven Winners and more big box store nursery providers like Costa Farms, it has just made plants a little bit more accessible to the general public, and I love that. I do not think that plants should only be for those that have money or are wealthy. I think plants should be part of everybody's daily life. I think it should be part of, anybody who wants to grow plants to grow alongside with plants. I actually listened to a couple of plant influencers, and one plant influencer said that not only do the plants, that he helps grow the plants, but the plants help him grow as an individual. And I do, that message actually really resonates to me, because as far as like growing plants, you learn and you grow with them. You learn from your mistakes and you grow. And that's something that I am really passionate about, is being able to accept some of the failures I have with some of of the plants. I mean, you can see here, Alocasia, this is a new variety by Proven Winners, the ones with the black stems, but as many plants as I've sent to Plant Heaven, I used to get really disappointed, really depressed about why I ended up like not being successful in growing the plant. But now I kind of just reassess what the plant is, whether it's maybe I just didn't have the right environment, maybe I was negligent with the plant's care tips, maybe the plant was just not meant for me, maybe I had too many plants where I couldn't keep them. Those are just a lot of the factors, and then I'm able to move past that. And I know for those that clicked on this video to see if I find an Anthurium Doc Block Michelle, I definitely am looking for it. I mean, you can see that I'm going through the proven winners, but I also wanted to take a little bit more time to just give you a little bit more of my plant insights. You know, I utilize my plant shopping videos as more of like a personal blog where I can just tell you my thoughts. You've already mentioned, there are a lot of people have already mentioned that they'll just listen to me while they do the plant chores. I just want to be somebody that can maybe provide some company for you, or just, I don't know, just let you know about what I'm thinking about these plants. Like this Philodendron Rojo Congo, for instance, $19.98 by Proven Winners. It is another, philodendron, I would say that is definitely overlooked because there are other philodendrons that people tend to gravitate to. And I think a lot of these plants end up becoming overlooked because they become very common in a big box store. Now this is a philodendron Florida green, and you can see that it's been growing for a while, but it desperately needs some type of support. I do like the fact that it's pushed out a lot of mature leaves or mature form leaves, even though it doesn't have a pole to climb on. That's another thing about certain philodendron. In order to maximize the maturity of the leaves and really get what it's supposed to look like, you have to provide it a pole or some type of support, because that's how it wants to grow in the wild. And then you can see over here, green shields. Contrary to what people say, green shields is actually a pretty easy plant. You just have to water it consistently, but if you are underwatering it, it will let you know when it needs to be watered, because the leaves will droop, but within like an hour after watering it, it actually perks up. It's that instant in its recovery, and I need forgiving plants like that. We all need forgiving plants like that. Now, Ficus elastica ruby, or what Proven Winners calls it, Belize. It's interesting how like Proven Winners always changes the names of certain plants that it's basically either a taniki or a ruby. But as far as these rubber tree plants, beautiful plants, they require quite a bit of light. If you don't give them the light, they don't necessarily drop their leaves, especially the rubber tree ones, but they will also not grow for you as much either. In the country of the Philippines, for instance, when I went on vacation there in August, I saw Ficus elastica or rubber tree plants literally be 25 feet tall, growing in full sun. It was spectacular. And I always tell people, if you go to the natural habits of a lot of these plants, you will see them in their full glory. And I'll tell you, it's going to be even more inspiring to see that versus, trying to grow the plants. I don't want to sound like a little bit discouraging when it comes to the plant's potential, but I will say that the plant will never necessarily get to that full potential unless it's growing out in its native environment. Our indoor spaces can only do so much unless you have a full-blown greenhouse where you're able to control the humidity levels, the lighting, the temperature. It's one of those things where our plants have to adapt to it. And, sometimes it's a good thing. If you let the plant grow wild, it'll take over your home. Now, as far as this philodendron right here, look at this philodendron red sun, and you can see that new leaf is got such a bloody red tone about it. It is so gorgeous, and that's another philodendron that I would like to add. And it's interesting because certain philodendron, you really look for that color, and the color is only temporarily. It's usually when the leaf unfurls at first, and then when it hardens, it becomes more of that green tone or more of a dark neon green tone. But other than that, I have, kind of looked through Proven Winners. I don't know. Leave it in the comments, Plant Foldies, if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you are also searching in the Home Depots. It's interesting because I've seen people posting on Instagram that they went to 4 different Home Depots. So I don't know if the Doc Block Anthurium Michelle by Proven Winners is really a trending plant. I would like to get a hold of a Doc Block Anthurium, Michelle. I don't know if I would really spend, $95 on it, but we will see. The one thing I will also say about the Doc Block Anthurium, Michelle, by Proven Winners is it is a tissue cultured anthurium, meaning that they were able to reproduce that plant at larger numbers, and that is the reason why they end up at a big box store like Home Depot. I'm pretty sure that, this Home Depot, as many plants as we've gone through today, may not necessarily have the Doc Block Anthurium, but I wouldn't mind checking this place again in a couple of days, because when you start to identify certain big box stores and the amount of plants that they receive, the amount of times that they restock, you have a higher potential of landing that dream plant that you've been searching for. And it's honestly fun to just take you alongside with me, especially in the morning today, to just show you what plants you can wake up to and want to buy. I am not going to buy any plants today, I don't think, but we're going to keep seeing that. I'm not giving up on finding the Anthurium Doc Block at this location, because I am going to walk over to the registers and see. I did want to show you this. So this is an Aglaonema White Rain, or also known as an Aglaonema Golden Bay, whichever one you want to call. And that's the thing about certain plants. Certain plants just have multiple names. This one happens to be the White Rain for only $29.98. Very good price for that plant. And I love the fact that it's got some beautiful silver to it. And I ended up buying that the other day when I was at Home Depot looking for an Anthurium Doc Block by Proven Winners. But alas, that's a kind of a consolation prize for me. And hey, I'm spending $95. I only spent $29.98. But as far as this particular Home Depot plant folies, let me know in the comments if you think that it's got some pretty good plants. These are plants that you've seen from a previous video, pretty much all my videos as of current. But let's go ahead and look to see if there might be some more plants near the registers. You can see that it is the holiday season. We're not even in December yet, and we've got a ton of Christmas trees. We've already skipped Thanksgiving, but it's always nice to see the holidays. I would say if you are all about that gift giving, just remember that, gifts for anybody who loves plants, big box or gift cards make a really good gift for anybody who collects plants. AKA myself. And then also like plant supplies. If you're looking for things to give, plant lovers, I'm pretty sure everybody here that's watching the video wouldn't mind getting like Super Thrive, silica solution, some type of planters, maybe a really cool plant. Things of that nature. And I'm going to do a specific episode too about what you can give to a advanced plant lover, and also somebody that you're trying to get into plants. But as far as today's video, I'm super excited that I was able to at least show you that. It doesn't look like we have any of the Anthurium Doc Block or Doc Block Anthuriums by Proven Winners, but we do have some beautiful poinsettias right here. This is a really interesting one for $29.98. Anyways, I hope you like this video today. Know that I'm going to keep going to Home Depots all week. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to my channel, Growfold. And this is Richie. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.